Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, 199 road fatalities recorded so far this year. Jamaica has recorded nearly 200 road fatalities since the start of the year. Some 199 road deaths have been recorded since January 1. The latest victim is a 22-year-old female driver. She was killed on the weekend along the AGR Byfield Highway in St. Anne. About 2 p.m. Saturday, the woman was driving her 2013 Toyota Corolla along the roadway when she reportedly lost control of the vehicle. She sustained multiple injuries when the vehicle slammed into a light pole. She was receiving treatment in hospital but died on Sunday. Permanent Secretary's Board urges restraint in calls for Health Ministry PS to resign. The Permanent Secretary's Board has called for restraint in the ongoing discourse regarding the tenure of the top civil servant in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Permanent Secretary in the ministry, Donson Brand, has found himself in the crosshairs of the parliamentary opposition over concerns with his stewardship of ministry. The opposition has called for his resignation in light of several issues, including an increase in maternal mortality rate in the Southern Health Region and the concerns raised by the Auditor General in a recent report. The PSB says though no civil servant is above public scrutiny, there are established processes through the Parliament and the Public Services Commission that allow for the proper airing of concerns with any issue that may have been raised by any oversight body, including the Auditor General. The board has requested that the processes be respected and that civil servants who must give account to Parliament be provided the opportunity to present their responses. It has asked that restraint be exercised in the ongoing debate to maintain good order and governance, while paying due regard to the separation of functions and the principles of neutrality in the civil service. 2-year-old goes missing from yard while having bath. A high alert have been activated for 2-year-old Rashawn English of Red Ground in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, who has been missing since Wednesday, June 26. Rashawn is of dark complexion, slim build, and is about 86 centimeters or 2 feet 10 inches tall. Reports from the Old Harbour Police are that about 5 p.m., Rashawn was being given a bath in his yard when his mother went inside the house to fetch some items. When she returned, Rashawn was not in the yard, and all efforts to find him have failed. Residents and the police have since searched the wider community. However, he has not been found. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Rashawn English is asked to contact the Old Harbour Police at 876-203-3659, Police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station. St. Catherine Parish Development Committee calls for environmental court. Vice Chairman of the St. Catherine Parish Development Committee, Kestanor Gordon, is calling for appropriate measures to be implemented to deal with environmental breaches. This comes on the heels of the latest environmental accident in the Rio Cobre, which resulted in another fish kill. Among the measures envisaged, Mr. Gordon says a dedicated environmental court would help to fast-track the process of redress and prevent long trial delays, such as in the case involving Windalco and the National Environment and Planning Agency. It is not in public interest that these trials are so long and drawn out, and the justice is not served when the people have been waiting for so long and they have been frustrated by all kinds of strategies, he lamented. NEPA has theorized that heavy rains over the weekend may have resulted in stormwater runoff, depositing a contaminant into the Rio Cobre. Technical challenges complicate ventilator access for newborns. It remains unclear how many ventilators are assigned to neonatal intensive care and the pediatric units at the public hospitals across the island following the death of a premature newborn 2 weeks ago and the subsequent Health Ministry internal audit of the machines. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bessisa McKenzie indicated that it is difficult to give a specific number, noting that of the available machines, the figure changes daily. These equipment have to be checked on a daily basis and may come down for whatever reason, which may be shorter term, or it may take a little while to get them back up, said Besseser McKenzie, who was responding to questions at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing at a Jamaica house. Her response follows the death of a baby boy at a Mapen Hospital in Clarendon on June 11. The baby had to be manually ventilated because he did not have access to a ventilator. On Wednesday, the news reported that a mother was pleading for help to save her 11-month-old baby girls alive, as the infant was at the Mapen Hospital for 3 weeks without getting access to the much-needed ventilator. The ministry's audit revealed that there is only one ventilator at the hospital, which is used to transport patients between departments or other hospitals. Yesterday, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said the infant was transferred to the University Hospital of the West Indies in St. Andrew for treatment. Tufton said the transfer was based on a need for more specialist care. Besseser McKenzie further disclosed that there are currently 90 working ventilators in the public health system, down from 118 last week. Overall, 210 ventilators are registered in the system, and up to last week, 52 were obsolete. Depending on whether the ventilators are made specifically to a particular setting to deal with neonates or whether it is ventilators that can be used interchangeably among different age groups based on the connections and the tubings that are there, these ventilators can move around. So to say specifically that we have 4 for neonates versus specifically for adults, I could only say that, for example, in Victoria Jubilee Hospital, where those ventilators are specifically used only in the NICU, the CMO said, referring to the neonatal intensive care unit. A news source has indicated that there has been a challenge sourcing connections for ventilators that are to be used for babies. The source, a medical doctor who specializes in obstetrics, said while the ventilator is generic, the connections for children are specific. They have been having greater difficulty sourcing the disposables, the source said. However, on Wednesday, Tufton said mischief is at play as it relates to the ventilators and the questions about the numbers. He reiterated that a ventilator by itself served no purpose unless supported by a team. He said pre-COVID, Jamaica's public health system had 35 ventilators. He said the system now has over 100 at least active. So one could be very simplistic and say we have 200 to 300% more ventilators than we had pre versus post-COVID. That still does not explain its distribution, its usage, the technical requirements for them to be used, said Tufton. Given that sometimes the public and those who question these issues are more interested in whether or not the system is being served with more as opposed to less, I just want to clarify that we have 300% more ventilators than we had pre-COVID, he added. Speaker signals imminent tabling of IC report despite a previous ruling. In an apparent reversal of her November 2023 ruling, House Speaker Juliet Holness has signaled that the Integrity Commission's 2023-2024 annual report will be tabled next Tuesday in accordance with established procedures and protocols. A terse media release from Parliament on Thursday said the Houses of Parliament had received copies of the report. On November 7, 2023, Holness ruled that annual and special reports from the anti-corruption body would go to its Oversight Committee for deliberation before being tabled. Commenting on annual reports submitted under Section 36(2) of the Integrity Commission Act, the Speaker said once the report is submitted to Parliament, it will be sent to the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee for consideration and report. Once the committee has completed its deliberations, both the reports of the committee and the relevant report from the Integrity Commission will be tabled thereafter. Principal Director of National Integrity Action, Daniel Archer, told the News that she was pleased that the annual report is to be tabled on the first sitting of Parliament after being submitted. We hope that this will apply to all reports from the IC, she added. Archer argued that the return to tabling IC annual reports in line with the long-standing parliamentary practice was a response to a justifiable public outcry to the infamous ruling of the House Speaker. She commended citizens for goodwill and the members of civil society organizations who spoke out against the controversial ruling by the Speaker and insisted that the long-standing practice of tabling IC reports promptly be restored. The restoration of this practice encourages our citizens to speak out when there is a perceived wrong in the conduct of the authorities, Archer noted. In March, Speaker Holness yielded to unrelenting calls from members of civil society and the parliamentary opposition and tabled 2 reports from the Auditor General that the Parliament held for more than 2 months. Prior to their tabling, the Speaker had returned the Auditor General's department reports, following which the Auditor General sent them back to Parliament. In April, the Speaker laid on the table of the House the Attorney General's opinion on the tabling of reports from the Integrity Commission and the Auditor General's department following months of wrangling. Archer argued that it was extremely disappointing to realize that the opinion of the Attorney General, contradicting the erroneous degree of the House Speaker, was available to her over a prolonged period, during which time a long-standing public servant was publicly reprimanded for allegedly not complying with a flawed directive. A retraction of the public remand is warranted on the facts and the actions now in the public domain, Archer said. Former clerk to the Houses, Valerie Curtis, was accused of gross dereliction of duty by the Speaker. However, Curtis dismissed the claim, calling for a public apology from the Speaker. To date, the Speaker has not tendered a public apology to Curtis. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.